Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
We begin tonight with a Valley News Live exclusive. It's another day with another potentially violent situation at Catalyst Motors in South Fargo. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Now, the call came in a little bit earlier today, and there was someone possibly waving a gun at people at the car dealership. And when we got there, police had already arrived. A man named Richard Tamba was visibly irate, says his car was repossessed after he missed a payment. He showed up this afternoon and made it right, and someone inside the business threatened him, saying they had a gun.
Yeah, it is a messed up situation. Somebody needs to step up to this guy, because this stuff is wrong, okay? Everybody, you got to step up. Catalyst Motors, this guy is wrong. This guy has been ripping people off. This is not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. It's not the fourth time. It's about at least hundreds of people that came over here and at least complain about this guy.
And Tampa's right. We have documented dozens of complaints against this business from many people around the area. Tamba says police told him they were called to Catalyst Motors earlier in the day as well.
So while people want property tax relief, they've already got a lot.
Fargo School Board officials meeting today to discuss what they plan to do with your tax dollars.
Now, as the only TV news crew there, we found out to see if you will see a decrease in your property taxes this year. Valley News Team's Ashley Bishop has more. Ashley?
Today, Fargo School Board and district officials discussed how they plan to budget the district because they fear they won't have enough money going forward. March of 2014, the school board asked voters to give them the authority to spend more. That vote failed, and it froze the mills that control your property tax costs, and they say that will eventually put them in the red. Today's discussion focused on maintaining the current budget level against a growing district. Board members discussed paring back the mill levy by 4 mills, but scrapped the idea by lunchtime.
The reality is that if you're going to make significant adjustments to a budget, it can't help but impact the core mission of the district. It just can't.
School Superintendent Jeff Schatz did suggest the district should compare itself to nearby similar-sized cities to see if they are overspending. Schatz says those findings could help sell why the district needs to reauthorize the levy. The board discussed that they would bring the property tax meal levy vote back to the public in either summer or fall of 2016.
I think the number one reason that it didn't pass is nobody felt there was any pain involved with not passing it.
This isn't fear-mongering to tell the public, well, if you don't, this is going to happen. This is just what's going to unfold. The boards are going to have these discussions.
Or somebody needs to motivate our yes voters because they simply didn't come out.
In Fargo, Ashley Bishop, Valley News Live.
Now, the board discussed possibilities of having the public forum and will continue to follow up with this story for you.
Many activists say there's not enough sex education being taught in the classroom. On Thursday, a bill passed through the U.S. Senate requiring high schools nationwide to report how they teach students about sex, relationships, and how to avoid sexual violence. If passed by Congress, public schools may have to re-examine their curriculum in efforts to reduce sexual assault. We talked to people today about what they thought about sex ed in our area.
Very, very, very taboo. Yeah, I'm from Spain, and I find here that people is very close about that.
Now, the proposed sex ed bill is a small part of the 600-page rewrite to Child Left Behind.
Well, a very warm and quiet day out there. A great day to enjoy some sunshine, even though we've got quite a few clouds moving in all of a sudden. So, Hutch, what's going on tonight?
Well, out to the west, there are a few showers beginning to show up on radar. Not all of this is likely reaching the ground, but at least a chance of a light sprinkle for some in our western counties. Right now, some of the heaviest activity is exiting the Lemoore area, heading in the general direction of Lisbon. Some of this with the yellows and oranges could be capable of actually making its way down to the ground. A shower south of Valley City. All of this is well out of the Red River Valley by at least 50 to 60 miles. So we're talking at least a couple of hours yet before a chance of a sprinkle here. And the chance is pretty low. More thunder and lightning in South Dakota, more thunder and lightning in our extended forecast, but not tonight. Temperatures around 80 degrees, maybe a sprinkle in the late evening hours, but we'll have a better chance of some rain in the overnight hours. I'll detail that and a chance for severe weather in the forecast. We'll tell you when here in a minute.
But enjoy what you got right now.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, thanks, Hutch. Well, a recent string of thefts and burglaries in Crookston is now linked to a recent murder. On July 9th, Juan Morales died after he was allegedly shot in the head by Daniel Gonzalez Jr. Gonzalez has been charged with second-degree murder. Since a court case is pending, police won't comment. However, a Crookston man tells us the Glock pistol used in that shooting was stolen from his home during a recent burglary while he and his family were sleeping. And that's just one of the 19 thefts from cars, burglaries, and attempted break-ins around Crookston this summer. And it's put people on edge. One woman who does not want to be identified was the victim of an attempted break-in at her downtown apartment.
It wasn't fun. I went home. I didn't want to go because I'm not from here, and I went all the way home, and I just didn't feel safe in my apartment anymore, and we ended up having to get a different lock and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't a good experience.
Now, a suspect was arrested for that incident, and the pistol used in the murder has been recovered. However, police say they have not recovered the majority of the property that was recently stolen, and they don't have any evidence linking the nearly 20 recent thefts and burglaries to one individual or group.
A change of heart on the part of the USA Wrestling Association and the Fargo Dome. We reported yesterday that a coach was not allowed to have her baby on the floor with her. USA Wrestling is now allowing Coach Marcy Lane and her baby on the wrestling floor at the Fargo Dome. Lane called our whistleblower hotline after security asked that her baby not be on the floor when she coached. According to Lane, USA Wrestling plans to discuss whether a specific policy is needed. That will be a month from now, and she says she plans on attending the meeting.
The White House flag was lowered to half-staff today in remembrance of 5 service members who lost their lives in last week's deadly shooting in Chattanooga. Governor Jack Dalrymple also directed government agencies to fly the United States and North Dakota flags at half-staff in the state. In a statement, President Obama thanked the victims for their service and offered his gratitude to the first responders who stopped last week's shooting rampage and then worked to save lives.
Some of our biggest cities are actually sanctuary cities. They're designed to shelter illegal immigrants.
But police don't ask for immigration status, and many undocumented immigrants are able to continue to live in the U.S. freely. But as Alex Miller explains, things are heating up in Washington to stop this.
It was a gathering of people in pain. One after another, pictures of loved ones put up for the Senate Judiciary Committee to see. Their husbands, daughters, brothers were murdered by illegal immigrants who were able to find a safe space in a sanctuary city. Laura Wilkerson's son, Joshua, was brutally murdered by an illegal classmate.
It's a soul-crushing event. It hurts in places you don't even know that you have.
She chose to spend her 4 minutes testifying by reading her son's autopsy, detailing the ruthless torture the 18-year-old endured. Wilkerson begged Congress to simply enforce the law.
Everyone here illegally is not a criminal, but sanctuary city policies invite that criminal element to come to our town. We're going to give you a pass. We're going to tie our policemen's hands where they can't ask you where you're from.
Now, this is exactly what Senator David Vitter says is the problem. He's been working for more than half a decade to get rid of sanctuary cities, which he calls irresponsible.
Because of this policy, somebody is released instead of being put in the hands of ICE, who would try to deport them immediately. We're basically talking about a phone call, an email. We are not holding this person, come pick them up.
In Washington, Alex Miller, Valley News Live.
Now, Vitter's legislation would take away funds from those cities who don't cooperate. Supporters of sanctuary cities argue without that space, immigrants would distrust the police and would not come forward to report other crimes.
Mid-continent communications is now activated in about 30% of Fargo and West Fargo, and the Vice President of Technology tells us they are on track to be up and running in 60% of the area by the end of the year. He says construction is in full swing. That's with 20 crews out at any time. If you'd like to check on availability for your neighborhood, there's a special website where you can do that. We have a link under the hot button at valleynewslive.com.
The University of North Dakota Nickname Committee meets again tonight to shorten that list of suggested nicknames and mascots. Here's a look at the remaining candidates: Fighting Hawks, Green Hawks, Nodax, North Dakota North Stars, Rough Riders, and Sundogs. We'll update this story for you coming up tonight on Valley News Live 10 at 10.
Time to roll up your sleeves for the Battle of the Badges. It's the annual blood drive between Fargo police and firefighters to see which group can get the most blood donors. Typically, this annual event begins with a tug of war between the police and firefighters. Well, this year, something a little different. The tug, or towing, involved a 45,000-pound fire truck. If you'd like to donate blood, head to the West Acres Food Court. That's from 11 until 7 each day until Friday.
That's a great cause.
It is.
Yeah. All right, well, coming up later on Valley News Live at 6, we catch up with some sailors who shared their musical talents in Fargo today.
You could say it was an average day temperature-wise across the valley, hitting a high of 83. Warm weather returns and our chance of thunder and lightning as well. Details are coming up next.